as a woman in this profession is, those are some of the things that you get labeled with, you know. But, so you're trying to find, and she looked at me in the center, and she was like, it was one of these, right? And I thought, okay, I might be able to keep this one, you know? All right, you know, and then when I started to do it more, and I started to see that other people were doing it as well, I thought, all right, you know, maybe this is not too bad of a signal, you know, and I think that's kind of, and it felt good to me. It felt, I liked the way it looked, but I think it's a little bit of your peers as well that'll tell you, that are honest with you, that'll tell you, and I have very honest people around me that are very blunt, and so, like I said, that's a good thing. So they tell me what does and it doesn't, and it does look good, and if they like it or not like it. We go from there. So, but everyone's different, you know. Not everyone's is going to be. That fits my personality. That fits who I am. And how do you find out what trial and error? A lot of trial and error. You know, you try it, see if it works. You start to, and you tweak it along the way a little bit. Like I said, my block was already big, but then I made it bigger, and then I made it really big, and you just try to see if it fits you. If you're not a snap pop, you don't have that little, you know, pop to your in your body or whatever that is. It still can be very clean. You know, you still could have it up here and it just could be, you know, that, you know, that doesn't have to have the extra that I sometimes have in mine. You know, but it still can be sharp. It still can be crisp. It still can be clean. It still can have a little bit of pop. And everybody can have a little bit of pop. Everybody. And so you have to find out, you know, how that works for your body type. Yes.
You were talking about, you know, making things your own. On the men's side, they do a lot of signals that on the book, the discount stuff, this kind of stuff. You know, what's too much? Are there boundaries on the women's side for that kind of stuff? Or things that you know you can't do that?
Yeah, I was definitely guilty of that. When I first started officiating, and before I did high school or anything else, my mentors, I was fortunate to have mentors who were doing really high level basketball, and so I was copying everything they did, not knowing that those were not even college signals. So I got labeled in a different way quickly, and I had to learn to follow what's in the book, but still make it you. And the hold is still a hold, you know, and they want it, you know, one of these. Well, that doesn't, I can't do that. I don't feel comfortable. It doesn't work for my, so, you know, I'm a step behind. I just need a little something, you know, and I still do it their way, but it still has a little more pop. All the signals as you get, when you first start out, you got to do it by the book. You got to do what they give you, you know. And even now, and I've been doing this for a while, I've kind of gone to just simplifying things, you know. I used to not simplify. I find it, you know, the most elaborate way to come up with it.
Flamboyant.
Very flamboyant, yes. Yes, and I just loved it. You know, I've always enjoyed having some personalities and signals. But I've learned that, as I've gotten older too, that, you know, simple is not a bad thing. You still can be crisp and sharp with all of it. And we've now think, because we do, you know, so many officials watch W and watch the NBA and watch that stuff, that they see these signals that we get a little bit more freedom with in the summer, the bump, and now this year we have the bump in our game. We added it this year. A couple years ago we couldn't do the hit and the head, and it wasn't a signal. You have to do the hit, you know, and then do both, and they saw us doing both, and then they finally added that too, you know. And I think little by little, what's happening with signals is they're realizing how important it is to say exactly what happened. Say what happened, and because of story, because that's what coaches see. And if you can give exactly what happened, then it increases our believability, you know. And so we were so limited with signals that I think, and we'd always get some pushback. I think now, because it's opened up a little bit, and we're able to say exactly what happened, we have less pushback. And so, but we still have to be sharp and have snap, and they got to be believable, you know. And that's, so with the freedom of having these new signals, or you gotta have, you gotta make them look good too, you know? So it's part of our entire package, you know, besides running well. You know, you talk about fitness and staying in shape and your positioning and it hit on all these other things, but the signals part is one thing that people don't spend a lot of time on. And it's just as important, if not more, than anything else, because that can save you from a lot of situations with interaction with coaches. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Scott, I'm going to ask you a big favor.
Sure.
Can we talk about the, people overselling calls that don't need to be oversold, so forth? Is there a chance you could demonstrate a regular block call versus a on the block charge? Would you just...
It's a good question. You made me think about 5 different things at that moment. It's as important it is to be sharp and crisp with all your signals. It's also important to know the timing of when to do these things. And we learned years ago, and I learned years ago, I had this signal in a 20-point ball game, and the away team was getting hammered. And I decided to give one more very crisp blocking foul against the team that's losing, and one, and it was, and then I punched the basket going in a way that was like, it almost made the other coach feel like, yeah, can you screw me anymore? And that's what the message I gave off with that signal. That's why signals are important. So now I never give a very big signal for the home team. I make those because we already have paranoia on the sideline. They already think we're 8 against 5 type thing. So I never have big signals for the home team. I always just, whatever it is boom, block, two, and I just go. On the other end, I could block, and I can score it, or whatever I'm going to do, Before I used to have all this other stuff, and I realized I have to just go two. So that's what, and that's where I'm at now. So yeah, I save my block charge plays for only block charges. I don't have pushes that are block charges or blocking foul. Places that block charge, if you have a hit or if you have a push, anything to the basket, and you come up with the block, take that away. Take that out of your game. Those are hits. And we see a lot of, it's a body bump. If she bumps her with her body, it's now a bump. Okay? Block charge is for block charges. Save it over in legal screen, because we have to report that 11 legal pick going down. Okay? But it's the time that you really just kind of want to, sometimes in the moment, it might be the one big play you have, and you get caught up in it, and that's okay. But other than that, everything else is pretty. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be over the top. It doesn't have really, none of your plays really have to be that. They just have to have just the things I've been mentioning earlier. They just have to have those things. And I can't. I think 2 seasons ago was probably the last time I had a big block charge offensive foul play in the Elite 8 game. And I had to sell it because it was a bang bang. The bang bangs, you got to sell a little more because those are the tough ones, right? Those are the ones that you're like, it could go block, it could go charge. I mean, it's that close. So you have to sell that one. You have to come out big. You have to come out confident. And outside of those plays, the easy ones, the ones that you just run it over, offensive foul. But if it's holy smokes, I easily could have possibly gone one way. You got to come out offensive foul and I'm a staccato person, so especially on those plays, or blocking foul, but you got to sell it. It can't just be block, offense, and your voice has to sell it as well. It's got to be like offense or block, or whatever you have, but it has to carry, the tone has to pick up on those touches. Did that answer your question? Kind of, not, you can tell me no.
No, you
Kind of.
did something very good that I've never really thought of before, but
Yeah, I've never sold plays for the offensive team, because all those are just daggers to the visiting team, you know. And you want them to feel like they have a chance to, you know.
Even if you're kicking their pants out of the home team?
If they're kicking, if it's the other way, I don't sell anybody that's kicking anyone's pants,
Okay.
you know. Yeah.
In this situation.
Yeah, I mean, that's, and again, if you don't think they're watching you, they're watching everything you do. So you have to be aware of the situation, and, you know, you don't want to stick the dagger into anybody. You know, having a and one, and then having an and one and a 30-point blowout is bad enough. Selling the hell out of it and making it all, that's sticking the knife in and then twisting it. You know, I mean, that's got to be careful.
You have it right here all the way through the game though. Do you balance it, both sides though? I mean, you apply it both?
No, not for the home team. Never did, because they already believe that we're with them anyway. So I never sell any plays for the offensive team, and I'm very aware of that. I keep it all simple. It could be an and one, and I go report. It could be a big play, and the crowd goes nuts.
Really?
Yep. I try to make it just like any other play. It's not that big of a deal. Yes.
Andy,
Andy.
double chirp whistle, is there any, yes, no, I've heard both ways because I have a habit of doing that on offensive fouls as well, pitfalls.
There's some people that I've been told, especially when I was first coming up, I'm not allowed to do that. And like I said, when you practice your mechanic, your signals over and over again, like I said, there's a rhythm, a beat to this for me, you know. And so that was part of what I practiced with, how I wanted it to sound, how I wanted it to feel. And so I had some pushback from some coach, from some observers, and some bosses that, you know, hey, that you don't need a staccato on that play or this play. And okay, and I wouldn't see that observed for about 8 months, so I didn't go anywhere. But it was hard to change certain habits that I had. It's no different for me now. I'm having the hardest time getting my hand up on offensive fouls. There's a rhythm I have with that play, and when I see it, I have this timing already with it. So now I have to change my timing, go here first, and then. But when it's in the moment and it happens, I naturally just react, and then I hear about it after that you got it. But at least I tell them, at least now I know I didn't do it. You know, where before I had no idea I wasn't even doing it. I thought I was doing it, and it never went up. But now I'm like, yeah, I didn't do it then either. You know, and I'm realizing so I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer to getting it. I just haven't been good. I'm not good at it. So, I got to go back to the why. And practice it. Yes. Yeah. Last question. I know we got one that's coming up as well. Speak to you guys. Any other? No? All right. I'll be out there watching the signals. Watching see what you guys do. And again, if, you know, I'm around. We're all around. If you guys have anything, if you you know, come up and ask. That's what we're here for. So, thank you guys.
3-minute bathroom break and have your homework ready to go.